Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. If I sound like I'm a little bit off, it's because I'm fighting a cold. But as they say, the show must go on, so we're going to bring you Around the Clock. On today's show, we will be bringing you a full update of the special town meeting that happened on November 28th. We're pretty sure you've heard of the big things that passed, but there's some other things that we want to share with you as well. Of course, we'll have our Around the Town tour, where we'll be going to the high school a couple of times. The first will be for a Diwali festival that was held by our Indian community here in Ashland with some wonderful dancing and food. We'll also be going there for the Powder Puff football game, and we'll give you more information on that, as well as the pep rally and the annual Thanksgiving Day game. No guests in the studio today, but lots of information to share. So stay with us here at Around the Clock. Hello and welcome back to Around the Clock. I would be usually giving a selectmen meeting update for a meeting that has happened recently, but we did not have one. We had one the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, but that was just to review some town meeting article items. So today's update will be an update on town meeting. Most people know some of the big things that passed, but there were some minor things that seem minor but are actually very important that we would like the Ashland residents to know. So we started the evening with 19 articles on the warrant, and number 10 wound up being pulled as we headed into town meeting. Number 19, which was related to some zoning changes for the Wildwood Mixed Use District, which is off of Chestnut Street. The planning board had not finished their public hearing, so it had to get pulled as well. And then there was a discussion about some new bylaws to allow fingerprinting for companies that are trying to do either selling of ice cream or secondhand dealership. There was still some work that needed to be done, and after about a half hour of discussion at town meeting, we realized we needed to pull it. But let's go back to the beginning. First, you're probably wondering why I have a duck on my desk. One of the items we talked about, there was a group called Think Blue Massachusetts that was there to help support our stormwater article. Article 1 was a report of the town manager. Michael Herbert, our town manager, gave a short report on some of the articles and some of the things we've passed at other town meetings and gave updates on them, like Cadillac Paint, Route 126, and our downtown project. We then moved into our free cash allocations. As I always like to tell people, it is not free and it is not necessarily cash. It is the leftover from our previous year's budget. So this was our 2018 budget, and this was the difference between what was used and what was brought in for revenue. We had $1.7 million in our free cash, and we put $275 into our stabilization fund, which brought our stabilization fund up to $5.9 million. We also put $444,000, this is a round number, into our OPEB trust fund, and that brought it up to $2.5 million, which is about 5% of our full OPEB liability. And again, the OPEB is other post-employment benefits. We have a fairly large liability, but the expectation is that it will not all come due at once. So we're following our maintenance and our plan to put money into that fund. There was also money put into our Special Education Stabilization Fund. This is a fund that was created about 2 years ago at town meeting, and it gives us some money put aside should our special ed costs exceed what is originally budgeted. It has to come back to town meeting for use, and then town meeting also approves putting the funds into it. We then put money into our capital fund, and these were for items that were deferred from May town meeting, as well as into our stormwater enterprise fund, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. And toward the purchase of Oregon Road, which is another article later in. So that was approved, so we moved that free cash around. We then discussed the creation of a stormwater enterprise fund. If you didn't get to watch town meeting, or if you're not sure, there's some great information up on the website from our stormwater committee. There is a new federal law that requires us to do certain things in regards to our stormwater. Remember, stormwater is all the rain and the runoff that happens when we have a rain or from snow that melts. It goes into certain catch basins, and then we need to clean it. Hence, the little ducks, to think blue, to realize that the stormwater and the runoff comes from everyone's roofs and roads. And we had to be able to fund all these different items that we needed to do to be in compliance for this new stormwater compliance and this new stormwater permit. We didn't have the funds within our general budget. If we did, it would have taken away from something else. By creating a stormwater enterprise fund, it allows us to basically charge everyone in town, and everyone will be charged, including nonprofits and schools and your local government. So it will not just be you, the taxpayers, but it will also be affecting our schools, which of course, and our town government, which we know is you, the taxpayers. There has been no final decision as to how we're going to divvy up who pays how much. That'll be discussed at a later date, and you can certainly give your feedback and give your input on that as the Board of Selectmen make that decision. From there, we approved the property tax exemption, which is something we do every year. This is for seniors, and all the information and details are available on the town website. We approved a tax agreement for the solar project that's going up off of the MBTA access road. We then had very lengthy discussion, and it became positive that we approved the purchase of the rail transit district. So this is the property off of the MBTA road, basically between the Dunkin' Donuts and the train station. Most of the property on the right-hand side, except for the cap. And there were two other components to us purchasing this property. Bob Gaynor, who currently owns the property, who will be purchasing it from, has donated and has agreed to donate 12.5 acres to the Metro West YMCA for their new facility, which they would like to locate in Ashland. He has also given us an agreement, and we're going to be finalizing this information and these agreements in the next month or two as the Board of Selectmen. He has an agreement to build some housing on the left side of the MBTA access road, and we're going to be discussing the fact if we can change the zoning, then the developer and Bob Gaynor will donate property back to the town. If that sounds confusing, there is more information on the town website, and of course you can always ask for information. But it did pass almost unanimously the approval to purchase the land at the RTA. We brought this forward because we've been told if we can control the property, then Ashland can control its destiny in regards to housing and the number of residents that come here. From there, we moved into 3 articles related to the public safety building. The vote happened in November to allow us to bond the money that happened at the election in November. At the town meeting, we had to determine the exact amount, and that was $3.5 million. We also had to accept the gift of the land to put the public safety building on, and that is being gifted to the town from the Fafford organization. And then the third question that had to be reviewed and passed was a change of the zoning for that area. It currently does not have 24-hour zoning or the ability for something to operate 24 hours. And because it's going to be a public safety building, which, as we all know, operates for 24 hours a day, we had to pass that. And all 3 of those articles passed. So we've approved the bond, we've approved the gifting of the land and the receiving of that gift, and we approved the zoning change. From there, we accepted some easements related to the Riverwalk, which is up off of Ponderosa. We then approved the purchase of some property off of Oregon Road. About a year ago, we approved another purchase of some property to add to the town forest. This was a similar case where it was an older owner who said, you know what, I'd like to get this land to the town. And we were able to come up with an agreement, and that was the $195,000 that we discussed earlier. We also approved the MWA bond for I&I work, something we have to do on a regular basis. We did approve to amend some general bylaws and amend bylaws in regards to collection of municipal charges. And again, if you want more detail on any of these, you can check them out on the town website. We then skipped or had pulled the bylaw in regards to fingerprinting, and the last article of the evening was land and road acceptance, and that passed as well. There were 3 roads that we looked at accepting, and they all got accepted. It was a well-attended town meeting. There were over 325 people at town meeting, which is great. We always hope for more, and we always hope that people participate. If you ever have any questions, we are currently discussing another special town meeting that will be happening most likely in February regarding some zoning changes, so be on the lookout for that. And that wraps up this update about the special town meeting that happened on November 28th. Welcome back to Around the Clock. It's time for our Around the Town tour. We're going to be spending a fair amount up at the Ashland High School, but in a couple of different locations on today's tour. We're going to be starting inside at the cafeteria and the auditorium as we visit and share with you some footage for the Diwali festival. The Diwali is a festival of light. It's from the Hindu religion. And there's a lot of food and a lot of dancing and a lot of music and celebration, where we were able to capture some of the lovely dances that happened from various age groups at the festival. Let's take a look at some of the dancing that happened at the Diwali festival. A big shout out to our state senator, Karen Spilka, also the Senate president, for her words regarding Diwali, and as well as the lovely words spoken by KG Narayana, as well as other members of the Indian community. And again, a shout out and congratulations to a wonderful event. The dancing was fabulous and people really enjoyed themselves. It is open to the whole community, so be on the lookout for it for next year. From the Diwali festival, we are going to head to the middle school for the 7th and 8th grade band concert. And this happened on November 15th. We get the 7th and 8th grade together and the Ashland High School, and it was the band. They played some lovely music. Let's take a listen. I have to say, listening to band concerts bring back memories for myself when I was in high school and middle school and played in a band. It's been many years since I've done that, but I think a big congratulations to their director and to all the students for a wonderful concert. If you're interested in learning about these concerts, Ashland Music, their Boosters Club, as well as the music department, has a Facebook page, and you can always check the events calendar. They'll be having a few more concerts coming up this December, as well as into the new year.
And around,
and that was
she has to go around the referee, and the seniors finally pull the flag.
Well, we're going to continue our tour and head back to the Ashland High School. We're going to stop at a couple of places. The first is on the field for the Powder Puff football game. This is a game that is held annually between the junior and senior girls who want to participate and play football. And it's always amazing to see the number of young women that are out there, the colors that they choose for their sweatsuits for the teams. And this year, a shout out and congratulations to the senior class. They won this version of Powder Puff. The score was senior team 14 and juniors 0. And if as we share the footage, it looks like they all had a lot of fun. And as we said, this is a fun event. There was a couple of years where it was not held, but I think our students are really showing and sharing that it's a fun event, it's very inclusive, and all are involved.
25 plus 45. That's a bomb downfield.
Wow, the seniors going for gold on that one.
Going for everything there.
From the Powder Puff game outside on the field, we're going to head inside to the gymnasium for the Ashland High School pep rally. This happens on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It's a pep rally for the football team, but it's also a way for us to honor and acknowledge the seniors and the moms who support these seniors. Many of our senior football players have been playing not only for 4 years of high school, but other times as well. And if you are a parent who has supported your child in any kind of sporting event, you know that even though you're not on the field, you have to spend as much time and energy supporting and encouraging and being there for your child. So a big shout out to our seniors. Of course, there's always the chorus performing the Star-Spangled Banner and other fun events. Let's take a look at some of the footage from the pep rally. Of course, the pep rally was great, all kinds of energy and all kinds of excitement, and now we head out to the Thanksgiving Day game. This happened on Thanksgiving Day, and it was a cold one. Some of the schools in the area have canceled their games or had them on Wednesday. We are tough New Englanders, and Ashland and Hopkinton persevered, and they had their game on Thanksgiving morning. We are thankful to our WACA crew. They allowed some footage, and they allowed a feed into the auditorium for those who weren't quite brave enough to stay out in the fields to watch the game. They were able to go into the auditorium and warm up as the game progressed. And a great shout out to our football team. They had a wonderful season, except on Thanksgiving. It's unfortunate to say, but the score was Hopkinton 21 and Ashland 6. Maybe they were just a little bit warmer than we were, but always a fun game. It was nice to have it at home. Again, a huge shout out to the coaches and the players of the Ashland football team for a great season, and better luck next year. Well, that wraps up this Around the Town tour. We are going to be out and about quite a bit coming up as we head into the holiday season. You might have seen us at the menorah lightings, or you'll see it at the, let's see, Santa's arrival, of course, Illuminate Ashland, if you were getting your tree. So that wraps up this episode of Around the Town, but we'll be back with more. Well, that wraps up this episode of Around the Clock. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed all our stops on our Around the Town tour and the town meeting update. If you have interest in watching the full town meeting, you can go to WACA-TV and watch the whole thing recorded. And a big shout out to our WACA crew for being at town meeting and being able to share it via our Facebook page for those who were not able to attend. Well, that wraps it up. We look forward to the end of the year and a wonderful holiday season. Thanks for watching this episode of Around the Clock.
In Massachusetts, 24% of renter households are spending 50% or more of their income on housing costs alone. What we used to see was this sort of fringe section of the population that was in this low income area that really needed assistance for housing. What we are hearing more and more is that the bus drivers and the school teachers and the police in our communities can no longer afford to live there.
Having a house is, we feel like we are settled, like it's stable in our house, and our kids are very happy. So it's a big blessing.
So Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit organization. We work with low-income working families who are in need of affordable housing. Some of the other programs that Habitat for Humanity has are critical home repairs. Critical home repairs are focused on those things that will eventually make a house unlivable. We also have a program called Operation Playhouse, which is a really great program. Corporations build playhouses for the children of veteran or active military families, and all of the proceeds go back into our programs for building affordable housing. And our final program is our Restore.
Restore is a program, a store that helps to support Habitat.
So another thing I like about Habitat for Humanity at the Restore is how the community is involved without some of them even knowing it. and the customers that come in are able to help the community by purchasing goods at the store, and that money goes on to help us put together the houses that we give out to the community.
Well, for me, V-Store is this bench, for example. David Weber, one of our longtime volunteers, he built this bench for us. It is made out of 100-year-old wood from our Northborough build, and it's just one of the many wonderful things that Habitat does for the community and the environment.
I really like the idea of being able to take a raw piece of land with nothing on it and erect a complete house and hand it over to somebody who's in dire need of home ownership. I think that's one of the most wonderful, productive ways you can possibly spend your time.
So I volunteered because I enjoy helping the community, and I really enjoy how Habitat is something greater than itself. They give back to the community in a bigger way than just at the Restore, and more ways than people think.
It's a wonderful way for the community to come together and to help those that are in need.
Well, my wife and I did 500 hours through the process of getting our own house, and it's a wonderful experience.
I had a great conversation with one of our new regs at our Holliston site last Sunday, where he said, where else could I go as a 70-something-year-old man with no experience to try to help with something, be taught how to do it, make a mistake, be taught how to correct it, and then still be asked to come back the next day. He said, it's really hard for someone like me to go and do something brand new without having any experience. And at Habitat, not only can you do it, but you're welcomed and you're asked back.